What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22. We're here at the final race of the season, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It comes after our win at the Brazilian Grand Prix. If you haven't seen that, I definitely would recommend going and checking it out. It was a pretty crazy race with a few twists and turns for good measure. We had the option to either reduce the cost of an upgrade or get some resource points, and as we are currently looking to cover off our developments that we've made over the course of the season, obviously I went for the resource points. I think we now probably have enough to cover off all of the upgrades we've made over the course of the season, and if not, we've still got one more practice session, and after that it should be more than enough to do so. We have a lot to get through after the finish of this, so that will be in its own separate video along with a little recap of what's happened over the course of this season. So this video will just be encompassing what actually happens in the race. So there you go, we've covered off every upgrade that we've made, and yeah, I mean, maybe with the ending of the season we'll even be able to add an upgrade or two to our car to make it even faster for next season. Now that we've covered off all the regulation changes, I genuinely think we're in with a really good shot of having a fast car next season. If there seems to be a better engine supplier than Renault, I think now might be the time to jump ship, because a regulation change is going to kind of set everything back to zero. So we won't get any bonuses for sticking with them for sort of a loyalty thing. But I guess we'll see in that regard. And yeah, pretty much everything's wrapped up. My only goal here really is to outscore Hamilton by I think 5 points or more, and then we will be the fifth driver in the World Drivers' Championship. Sorry, I was trying to remember where we were in the standings, but yeah, we've lost out on the fight for P5 in the constructors, unfortunately, unless Oscar Piastri and myself can both pull off a miracle in this race, which I'm sorry, but I do not foresee happening. And it would also require Alpine to do very badly, but we definitely are in with an opportunity of closing out the Drivers' Championship P5 if Hamilton has a slightly poor race by his standards. I would say we basically need to hit him to finish sort of like no higher than maybe P8 or P9, and we need to finish sort of P6 or P5, something like that, and then we can be in with a shot of doing something quite special. First up, as always, is practice. No surprises. It's dry for the whole weekend. It's Abu Dhabi. You wouldn't expect it to rain. I think I've seen it rain here once. And I don't know, my pace felt pretty good, but the result that I got would suggest otherwise, because I wasn't even in the top 14. I think even Piastri might have been faster than me in practice, which yeah, it was a slightly concerning sight. Yeah, we were literally plumb last behind even Vettel, who this is his last race in Formula 1. Obviously he retired a season earlier than this in real life. But yeah, no more Vettel after this season, and then we'll see how many other retirements come down the pipeline as things progress. But for the time being, it's just him and Bottas who have departed the sport, which is surprising because they are actually younger than some of the other drivers who have stuck around, including Hamilton and Alonso, of course. And then I think Perez and Ricciardo are around the same age as Bottas, so you might expect to see them depart, but not yet. We're actually looking at getting another upgrade onto the car, and the idea behind that is that even though it's an aero upgrade, perhaps we'll be able to cover it off in time for next season. And I guess if we don't, then we just wasted a bunch of resource points for no reason. But we will see what happens with that when it comes to worrying about that. And yeah, we'll move on from here. We will finish the season with the worst car on the grid, but as I have mentioned many times, I'm very confident that we will move up the order as the regulation changes take effect. What I'm most interested to see is how the top teams at the moment shake out, whether it will still be the same sort of pecking order, just they'll be slightly worse performing, or whether, you know, some teams are really gonna have got it wrong and they're gonna massively suffer. I guess we'll have to wait and see. For now, it's time to get into the first qualifying session, and Q1. This is our first flying lap on a used set of softs. We've got a few worn components, but it's nothing that's going to get so worn that we have to worry about it. So that's fine. We set a 1:24.0. I think we're going to have to improve on that if we want to get out of Q1. That's not a great lap, and indeed, you see we were 17th at the end of Q2, or the end of Q1, second flying lap. But we were improving, and in the end we improved by about 5 tenths, or 6 tenths or so, and that's good enough to get us into Q2 in P8. So if we just do that again, we'll probably get into Q3, unless everyone improves quite drastically. But yeah, I definitely think that is that's a replicable result. So not too concerned in that regard. I don't think I'll be able to get into the 122s, so I think there's a few drivers here who are going to be sort of too far out of reach for me. But hopefully we'll be able to make it at least a little way up the order. And also with penalties applied, if we make it really far up the order, there's a very good chance that we could just be starting like in pole or on the front row or something like that, because loads of people take penalties at Abu Dhabi. It's a 124.5, our first flying lap in Q2, but that wasn't a used set of softs, so I see no reason why we shouldn't be able to improve quite drastically. And here we go now in time for our second flying lap of Q2, and now we're on the fresh set of softs, so we should be able to improve quite drastically over our previous lap. And indeed, our second flying lap in Q1 was about a second faster, so that's the target we're aiming for here, and we'll see if we can hit it. The track has obviously undergone some serious changes. I can't remember if they were in last year's game. I know they definitely were. I know that the changes were made for last year's race, but something is telling me that they didn't incorporate them into the game until this year. But either way, we find ourselves on a track I'm still getting used to. You know, there's a lot less chicanes than there were in previous games, so it makes the track a lot faster and makes it much more suited to my sort of personal skills when it comes to driving in this game. I'm not very good through chicanes. I never know quite how to carry the speed effectively. So the less chicanes there are on a track, the better it is. That's why I really like Austria now, and I also much prefer Abu Dhabi to how it was. Unfortunately, in real life, it still doesn't seem to throw up the most interesting races, which is, you know, just a sort of a facet of how this track is, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, it's not the end of the world. We improved by just under a second for another 123.5, and in the end, we actually don't make it through. For the first time in Lord knows how long, we are eliminated in Q2 by less than 1/10. If we'd have improved by a tenth, we would have been P8. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes, I guess. Lewis Hamilton up there at the very top, so our fight for P5 in the Drivers' Championship just got a lot harder. And yeah, Yuki Tsunoda making it through at the expense of Esteban Ocon as well, and his teammate Pierre Gasly, who usually on occasion have been able to make it through to Q3, and yeah, all of us missing out on this occasion. So yeah, props to Yuki Tsunoda, but wow, yeah, I was a little bit surprised with that, and honestly a tad disappointed as well, because I really expected that we would have the pace to make it. I think that's this. I mean, I thought this rivalry was over already, but that's basically put the nail in the coffin as far as that's concerned. So we'll be starting Season 3 on 85 difficulty, because I'll be dropping it another one as a result of losing that rivalry. And yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens in terms of our acclaim boost and things like that. But for now, yeah, we're gonna have a big job to do. I don't know where we're going to be starting in the race. I imagine it'll probably be like P7 maybe, because I imagine quite a few cars in front of us will take penalties, especially ones with worse sort of reliability facilities. But I guess that remains to be seen exactly what's going to happen there. Just a really big shock overall, but it's definitely not over. And if Hamilton takes a penalty, which he definitely has been known to do in the past, we could still be in with a legitimate shot. And it is now time for us to get into the race weekend.
It's time then for one final race in this year's Formula One World Championship. 2010 saw 4 drivers in contention for the title coming into this race, with Sebastian Vettel prevailing to become the youngest world champion to date. Is there one last sting in the tail awaiting us today? Well, it's time to find out. here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The drivers will be racing here at the Yas Marina circuit through 16 corners and a lap distance of around 3.28 miles. There are a few opportunities to pass with long straights and DRS zones in 2 places, so plenty of close racing, then plenty of speed and plenty of drama to be found in the laps ahead. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Ricciardo, Robinson and Gasly. Hamilton, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ocon, Perez and Kevin Magnussen. Leclerc, Stroll, George Russell and Albon. Fernando Alonso, they've taken a grid penalty. Schwartzman, Nicholas Latifi and Sebastian Vettel. Mick Schumacher, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Oscar Piastri, Joe and Yuki Tsunoda. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. Ant, it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Let's finish the season with a really strong effort. Come on.
I'll see what I can do. We'll see what strategy the game throws up for us on this occasion. Exactly the same as the one that we would be running otherwise. 13 laps on the mediums, followed by running to the end on the hard compound tyres. Hamilton is starting behind us. He's starting in P7, so we have a real opportunity to keep him behind, especially as he's starting on the softs. His tyres will go off quite quickly, I imagine, and then we hopefully can pull away. I don't think I'll be challenging the top 4 today, but I guess we'll see what happens. We're pulling into our grid slot now. We just about get it into the purple. It pivots between purple and green. It can't quite decide whether it was excellent or good, so I guess it was good-excellent, and yeah, it really is flickering now. But anyway, the cars have all lined up on the grid, so the lights come on, and the lights go out, and here we go. It's a pretty decent start. I don't think we'll be under too much attack from the cars behind us. I say that, Gasly had a very good start, but he's kind of pincered to the inside by Daniel Ricciardo a little bit, and yeah, I mean, he basically jumps me immediately. But hopefully I'll be able to get back at him with all deliberate speed. Really what I'm most concerned about is keeping Ocon and Hamilton behind me. I know the fight for P5 in the championship is basically over, but I don't know. I just want to piss off Alpine by minimising the amount of points that their drivers can score. I don't know if their drivers are locked in any drivers' championship battles or not, but you know, as my payback for losing the Constructors' Championship against them, I'm going to try and make them lose the Drivers' Championship against anyone they're competing with. I think they're kind of in a pocket by themselves a little bit, where each of them has about 100 points or so, with Alonso slightly further ahead of Ocon. But yeah, I'll make it my mission to keep them behind, and in doing so, we should be able to keep Hamilton behind as well, I imagine. But we'll see what happens with him. If we can re-overtake Gasly, that would be brilliant. But I'm not holding my breath on that regard. Obviously, Gasly in real life is Alpine bound for next season, but I think he'll probably be staying with AlphaTauri for next season in this game. Vettel is departing, so I don't know if someone will directly take his place. Usually, Aston Martin is a slightly too high acclaimed team for a rookie to come straight into, and in my experience, I've seen that a driver will usually pivot from one team to another with Aston Martin. So a team from a driver from sort of Alfa Romeo, or maybe Haas or Williams will go to Aston Martin, and then they'll get a rookie in one of those 3 teams. So that might be what we end up seeing come next season. But all will be revealed in the next video. For now, you just saw me overtake Pierre Gasly, went down the inside at the chicanes, pretty straightforward, but now I've got to defend at this hairpin because he would have the DRS on the second straight. There's a sort of rule here that they always joke about, that's like you don't overtake on the first straight, you overtake on the second straight, but when you've got cars behind like Ocon and Perez chasing you down, you don't have much choice. By this point, Hamilton's pitted, which is why you can't see him on the mini-map or anything anymore. He's made his maybe only stop in this race. I'm not sure if he's doing hards to the end. If he's doing a 2-stop, I basically don't have to worry about him for the rest of the Grand Prix. But now we're just battling with Gasly again. I think he's going to re-overtake us here, unfortunately. It's that whole first straight, second straight thing again. He tried overtaking us on both and pulled it off the second time. And yeah, now we're under pressure from the likes of Ocon and Perez behind, who are going to be significantly fast. Obviously, I want to do everything I can to keep Ocon behind. If we don't have to worry about Hamilton, then Ocon is definitely going to be the one that I am going to focus most of my attention on, I imagine. But we'll see what happens with him, and we'll just do what we can to fight these guys off. For now, yeah, a lot of speculation about what is going to be happening with the future of like which drivers are going to come in and that kind of thing. I imagine it will probably be Lundgaard or Fittipaldi if we re-sign Piastri, of course. I'm not sure what acclaim level Piastri is. I think he's slightly higher than Fittipaldi, but I think Lundgaard might be a bit higher than Piastri at the moment because of the time that he spent in Formula 1. Whereas Fittipaldi had a slightly lower baseline, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So yeah, I imagine we'll be seeing one of those drivers entering the sport. Obviously, Schwartzman is the first driver who has entered a team that wasn't mine. But yeah, I think no matter what happens, I'll still maintain my status as being the only team on the grid that has taken on a driver in their sort of rookie season. I guess apart from Alfa Romeo, because they took on Zhou Guanyu in our first season. We have to remember that he was an F2 driver before we started this season as well. Well, not this season, but the season beforehand at least. Before we started this like playthrough. We got a yellow flag just behind us. I'm not sure who that is. I think it's the Ferrari. I think that's Charles Leclerc because I remember seeing Sainz up front earlier. So yeah, not a great way for his season to end, but it doesn't really matter too much. It would be a lot more dramatic if he hadn't already wrapped up the championship, but he has, so it's not. We move on and we'll see what happened to him. Get a replay of that. So here he is fighting with a Williams, and I think that's Russell ahead of him, but I'm not 100% sure. And the yellow flags are out. He suddenly starts going really slowly. I think maybe I saw a brief spurt of smoke out the back of his car, but there's plenty of runoff here, as long as you don't crash in that area like some drivers have been known to do in the past. I think they've actually widened that corner slightly, maybe to avoid a repeat of what happened in previous years. But we'll see, I guess. Yeah, so he manages to find the runoff with relative ease, and that allows the race to continue without the need for a safety car. I feel like you very rarely see safety cars here unless someone actually crashes. I think they did bring one out for Giovinazzi in the 2021 season finale because he parked his car in a place that was a little bit dangerous, but I'm not sure. Ocon's now overtaken us. I couldn't really do anything to defend from him. And yeah, now we're under pressure from Perez as well. And really, I just don't want to lose any more positions. I don't want to get overtaken by Stroll or Russell behind, so I'm just going to do everything I can to kind of stay with Perez. I think my pit lap is this lap anyway, so I think it's unlikely that Stroll would get ahead of us. And then maybe after we've done that, we can start pulling off some undercuts or something like that, rather than sort of pootling around in this position. Although I don't know if these guys in front are also going to pit on the same lap. I guess we will we'll find out as we now come into the pits. Oh, actually the pit lap was a couple laps later. I got that wrong. But Gasly's in. I think Ocon is staying out, so maybe we can try and pull off an undercut on him. And also Perez is out as well, so we'll see if we can maybe make up some time on them. Yeah, Gasly will remain ahead of us with no doubt about that. Oh, we've got an issue. That's going to be that's going to be very much harming our chances of pulling off an undercut. Our pit was anywhere as much as 3 seconds slower than it could have been. So yeah, that is an unfortunate circumstance. It means we actually come out behind Vettel when we might have come out ahead of him, but he's still got the pit, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, all in all, a bit of a frustrating way for things to happen. And I mean, hopefully we can still fight with Ocon, but maybe we won't be able to. You see now he's about 2.5 seconds up the road. That's how much time was in that pit stop. So yeah, I can't help but be a little bit cheesed off about that. But we will come around the hairpin. Oh, and he's had an issue. He's had some kind of problem. I think he might have spun or something like that by the looks of things, because he's slowed right down. Managed to keep Albon behind him, so I imagine he'll probably come back at us and put pressure on us. I don't know if he got any damage from doing that, or if his tyres got destroyed or something like that. And now we've got a yellow flag in front of us again, and we'll see what this is about. I'm not 100% sure. Let's have a look. Oh, it's Pierre Gasly, I think. Yeah, Pierre Gasly's out of the race. I don't know what's happened to him. It looks like some kind of failure because he's pulled off to the side of the road. Hamilton is in again. And we get promoted up the order to P7. I think Magnussen in front is yet to pit, and either way I think we should be able to overtake him if he doesn't. We'll have a look at what happened to Gasly now. So he comes around and just suddenly massively slows down and vacates the track pretty much immediately after that, and yeah, job done. And that's his season come to a close. He's had a pretty strong season, all things considered, given the AlphaTauri was one of the worst cars on the grid all season. He's done very well. Him and Albon, I think, have definitely been the MVPs in slower cars, and well, us as well, of course. But I don't want to be too humble, so I'm looking at them in particular for. I'm looking at them for potential teammates in the future. Right now, if they can keep up that level of form next season, and we can develop the car at a rate that we're happy with, maybe we'll take them on board. But I'll think about that more as the races tick on. Ocon has caught up to us quite significantly now, and Perez is very far ahead, but we are in P6, so if we can hold on to this, I think it's Russell in P9, not Hamilton. So as long as we can hold on to at least P7 to score, what would it be, 6 points, we will beat Hamilton in this championship, unless he's in 10th and gets the fastest lap. So that's all we need to worry about. We managed to keep Ocon behind all this time, but I think he's going to have a bit more fight in him on this occasion. You see, he's pretty close. He's definitely going to go for a move. I'm trying to go as far as I can to the outside to allow myself to have the best run through the chicane. And it's not a great run, unfortunately, because we're squeezed to the inside by Ocon there, and no doubt he is going to have a big challenge as we come into the second DRS zone. I squeezed him out as we went to the inside at the beginning of the straight, and then we take the inside again as we come to the end of the corner, and that allows us to stay ahead of him for now. But yeah, tense moments in this Grand Prix. If Ocon gets past us, then we could be susceptible to Albon, and if Albon overtakes us, that is the difference between one championship position and another. We move now onto lap 29, and yeah, this is the last lap. If we can hold off just for one more lap, then we will be P5 in the Drivers' Championship. That's all we need to do. We can even let Ocon overtake us if it looks like we would lose 2 positions if we don't do that. I think Albon is falling slightly away from Ocon now, so maybe we'll be okay. I think Ocon is probably going to mount another challenge here by the looks of things. He looks to the outside, but there wasn't room there for him. I don't know if that was the wisest decision, but it means that he will have another opportunity to make a challenge here as we come into the final of the DRS zones on this lap. And will he be close enough? That's the real question. I'm burning all of my battery because I can afford to. He looks to the outside again. He just couldn't find a way through. He kept picking the wrong place. I'm not sure. Max Verstappen has won the final race of the season. It's not going to matter, I don't think. I think he still finishes P3 in the Drivers' Championship. But I guess we'll see. And yeah, we I think are going to hold on to this, barring any major mistakes at these last few corners. Let's hope we don't Latifi it. They've definitely widened this part of the track. They must have done. I'm sure of it. You come around the final few corners. I think we've had 2 warnings, so let's not get a penalty. Otherwise, that would really screw us. And yeah, we just about hold on up to the line, and it's a P6 finish.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
It's been a roller coaster season, but they can go into the winter with their heads held high after an emphatic victory here today. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they secured here.
Look at Sainz on the podium. Look how happy he looks. He hasn't had many of those this season, to be fair. It's quite a poor season by his standards, but maybe he'll be able to bounce back in the next season. Maybe regain some focus. That's one thing that we haven't really talked about a lot, but I've noticed that Ferrari drivers are terrible for losing their focus across the games where they've had that stat included. So yeah, maybe that's had a reason as to why he's had such a poor season.
Despite the best efforts of our championship leader, that lead has taken a bit of a knock today. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Well, it's got to be Kevin Magnussen. He displayed exceptional skill out on the track today and wasn't afraid to fight his way through the pack.
And it's another title in the bag for Red Bull after a long and hard-fought season. They've built an astonishing car this year, and the glory they'll be taking back to Milton Keynes is fully deserved. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So, Norris actually pipped Verstappen to P3 in the championship by a couple of points, and even a win here wasn't enough for Verstappen to bring it back. One of the Alfa Romeos started sideways in this race. I guess we completely missed that. Okay, this is a weird glitch that has happened in Abu Dhabi many times to many people. I'm not sure why. It just does. But yeah, in any case, yeah, Norris P3. So the championship ends... what is it? Leclerc P1, Perez P2, Norris P3, myself P5, Verstappen was P4, I think Hamilton P6, then Russell P7, and then I think Sainz was P8? Is there someone I'm missing? Oh, maybe Ricciardo? I'm not sure where. Maybe Ricciardo was P8 and then Sainz, and then Ocon and Alonso I think were behind them too. So, yeah, a very competitive season with lots of drivers scoring over 100 points. It's quite rare that that happens to that many drivers. And no one got over 300 as well. That's a hallmark of a very good season. If a driver gets over 300 points, it means that it might not have been a particularly competitive season. But nobody did. Leclerc was the highest on 291. If he'd have finished this race, I would wager to say he might have scored more than 300 points. But he didn't, so it wasn't. I keep doing that. Yeah, a strong season for us overall. Definitely a lot better than last season, where we struggled to score points until the last few races. We were consistently in the points on this occasion, at least with one car. Even on the races where I didn't finish, we had one race where Fittipaldi was able to pick up the slack and score our teammates' only points of the season. He scored 8 points with a P6 finish, so that was good. And yeah, hopefully next season we'll be able to see some more points finishes if we can improve the car to a level that allows our teammate to score on a regular basis. Ideally, if we have sort of like a top 5 car, I'd like to be seeing consistent Q3 appearances and consistent top 10 finishes from our teammate as well. I don't know who it's going to be yet. We're going to invest a bit in the facilities with the money that we earn from finishing P6 in the championship, plus meeting our sponsor objective, which we not only met but obliterated really. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to have a much stronger season again, and just keep compounding that success over and over again. It wouldn't be F1 22 if we didn't finish the season with a glitch, so enjoy whatever the hell's going on here. Russell wins the rivalry. It doesn't make too much of a difference for now, but we will be bumping down the difficulty by 1 point. It means that we don't gain any acclaim despite the fact that we finished P6 in that race, but that's fine. I'm sure we will gain plenty of acclaim from our championship position, if nothing more. And yeah, I mean, maybe next season will be the one where we can mount a championship challenge. For now, that is going to be it for this season. We'll have a recap video coming out tomorrow, and then season 3 will start the day after that. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.